Are you a manager who is eager to change the trajectory of your career? I have spent the last 23 years as a Fortune 50 leader learning from other industry leaders how to break free from limiting beliefs and habits. On the Might in Motion podcast, we focus on the 4 M's: motivation, momentum, mindfulness, and might. We bring you leaders from Fortune companies, doctors, and entrepreneurs. Their stories of living their own might in motion will inspire you to create your own action plan and achieve your goals. Welcome to Might in Motion. Today's episode of Might in Motion is brought to you by Pantheon FM, Fortunes Magnified. Pantheon FM is changing the world through entrepreneurship. In this community, you will find everything you need to create, amplify, and monetize your world-changing business. Join us at pantheon.community/register/LAUA. Today, I bring to you Maria Aguirre. She's a best-selling and international award-winning author, speaker, and high-performance leadership coach with a wealth of experience under her belt. She's had a remarkable 28 years successful career in corporate leadership, particularly in the aerospace operations. Maria now shares from stage her wisdom and insights supporting aspiring leaders in fully embracing their role and purpose. In 2022, Maria established Meaning for Leaders with a resolute purpose to amplify her influence and impact by empowering others to discover meaning and fulfillment in their personal and professional lives. Maria equips others to consistently achieve peak performance and impact through self-leadership, effective team building, and communication that truly connects. Maria's unwavering conviction rests in the potential of equipping leaders with the right tools to forge the right kind of connections with their teams, thereby transforming their roles into beacons of positive influence and high profitability. Maria, welcome to Might in Motion.
Thank you, Mariana. I'm so excited to be here with you finally.
I know. I'm excited too. This has been in the works for probably a few months now. Our schedules have been crazy.
Yes.
But my goodness, you have had a really cool journey in corporate leadership, in helping develop others achieve their goals. And I'd love for you to maybe start off with just tell us a little bit about how Maria got to where she is today.
Well, I was born and raised in Ecuador, and the apartment where I grew up faced the back of the airport in Quito. And I always wondered, where the planes were going. I wanted to be a pilot, but in Ecuador, you needed to be a man to join the Air Force and therefore become a pilot. So I had the opportunity to move to the States many months ago and to start my career in aerospace operations. I call it the behind the scenes magic in every takeoff and landing. And here I am. And during the pandemic, there was a lot of struggle in teams around me that I saw that leadership was not very strong, wasn't very robust, but our team was thriving. We were essential. We were on site all the time. And I embarked in putting all my knowledge into what I thought it was going to be a course, and it ended up being the outline of a book. And I published my book last year, and that's how Meaningful Leaders started. And and the rest is history. Now I speak from stage and I coach other leaders into really unlocking all their potential.
So I love this. Congratulations on writing a book. It's a big endeavor and super great accomplishment that you've done. Can you kind of share about your book a little bit? Like, what's it about? What are people going to glean from it when they read it?
It's really my experience on the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it was a very vulnerable journey for me because I wanted to really share. I didn't want this polished thing that highlighted only the achievements. I wanted an honest tool for leaders onto everything that goes on and all the struggle to figure things out and the things that I've discovered throughout my journey. So it's a kind of like a reflection on Maria's journey put on paper for the world to see, which was, again, extremely vulnerable. But, is one thing that I've learned is that it's never about me, it's always about serving others.
Yeah, I find that managers that are willing to be vulnerable, willing to say, I don't necessarily know everything, or I'm unsure, or I went through this experience, tend to be better leaders because your teams want to rally around that. It makes you more human. It makes you more relatable. It helps, especially new managers, like, hey, be open to sharing a little bit about yourself.
Definitely. Definitely.
Did you find that you were sharing more about yourself even before you wrote the book with your team, and that's what set your team apart?
Um, to me, it was kind of a journey. The first time I was promoted to management, my struggle was that I was very good at doing my job, and all that hard work paid off. And I was finally joining the ranks of management, and my celebration lasted about 5 minutes, because then it's when I realized that I had no idea what I was doing. I was not equipped for it, because I knew every component of the job. I had no idea how to get these people that now belong to
Mhm.
me to do what I needed them to do in a way I needed them to do it, in the time frame that I needed them to do it, for us to be successful. I had no idea. And I've taken a lot of business classes, and I was never taught this portion of it. So I had an epiphany at some point. What happened was that I went full blown research mode, because I was failing. I was failing my team. I was failing. I was completely stressed out. And I started researching and reading everything that I could. And that's when I had an epiphany. I realized that when I got that promotion, they gave me this management hat. I put it on. But the management hat deals with numbers only. It's all the KPIs, is all the budgets and projects and contracts and things. But there's a second hat that I wasn't aware that I was supposed to be wearing. And when you take off the management hat and you put on the leadership hat, then it's a completely different story, because your only job is to really care for, nurture, and develop the team. It's about the human beings. And if we lose that touch into being authentically human when we're serving our teams, then we're missing out half the job.
So if you've got a new manager and they may not know that side, they don't realize that there is that hat switch that you have to make, right? What is one thing that a new manager could take away that they can learn from your kind of mistakes, or mine too? I mean, everybody who's moved into a manager
Yeah.
role makes the same mistake, right? They want to be
Yeah.
the super individual contributor instead of, I'm going to rally people. Do you have a tip or a trick that you can share with the audience and what they can do to
Definitely.
maybe get over that hump a little bit faster?
I would say, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to not know. You are not supposed to know everything. You will never know everything. That's why you equip yourself with people that are really good at certain things, and you complement each other. So don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Actually, the team appreciates the fact that you want to learn from them,
Mhm.
and they will be open to teach you so you can help them better. So never be afraid to say, I don't know, please teach me, but really invest yourself in learning why they're going to teach you.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Great advice. Really for anybody in any kind of position, even if you're moving laterally, you want to
Yes,
be, you have to have that ability to be open, and as a leader, have the grace for people on your team that might say, I don't know, or I want to learn. Um,
absolutely.
Now we were talking a little bit in the green room before we went live about speaking and
Yes.
being on stage. You were at an event earlier today where you were on stage. You do a lot of speaking events. So many people are afraid to get on a stage. That could literally be in front of their own little team of maybe 5 people, or in front of 500 people in an auditorium. Is there something you do before you present or speak at an event that really gets you hyped up and helps you get over any nervousness?
Yes, definitely. And I can tell you, I'm an introvert. To me, a few years ago, public speaking was a no-go. I will freak out. Actually, I pass in a lot of opportunities in my career because I will do all the work and let somebody else present, and sometimes take the credit for the work that I've done, because I was like, I'm not speaking in the conference room to 10 people. But what I learned when I decided to do this different portion of my career is that it's not about me. It's about the message. The message is more important than me. The message is more important than what I feel or the emotions. And it's very easy to feel afraid, but fear and excitement are parallel forces. So I get excited about it. And there's people that like to stretch and jump around and get hype up for speaking. That's not me. I can tell you that. I do breathing exercises and I try to calm my nerves. And normally when I'm on stage, I am completely given to my audience and I'm sharing the message because I think the message that I'm there to share is important.
Yeah.
So it's completely not about me.
I love that. I mean, I've been blessed. Those who've listened to the podcast have heard me say it before, but I love doing things in repeat. I mean, I was blessed in being put on stage doing theater when I was a kid, right? So I was at least able to start that and get those muscles developed at a younger age. But I too, and people never believe me. I'm kind of an introvert as well. Like, wait a minute, how are you an introvert? You're doing this podcast, like you're always a little bubbly, you're always willing to get on stage. I'm like, yeah, but like I have to actually shut down a bit. That's my recharge. Is I need to be alone and shut down and so many times for me, I actually take those quiet moments. I don't really want to talk to too many people right before like the big event or whatever because I'm mentally, okay, going through what are my words because I want the message. To your point, the message is more important than maybe what I'm wearing or like if I accidentally make a mistake and how I'm trying to present it. But I want to make sure the words resonate and I've got the right message. So I love that concept of the message is so important, and that fear and excitement are parallel forces. That one is huge. I had somebody way back in the day, she would say that she always had to go to the bathroom right before she got on stage. She's like, it's my nervous pee. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that's a force choke, right? Whatever works, right? But there's those things that, hey, you're scared, but leverage that scare and that fear into your energy that you can give on the stage. That's what's so cool.
And one thing that is crazy is, to think that every person that is sitting there has the same fear, right? We all get nervous when we have to speak. So, and even if something goes wrong, right? Your mic goes off and your presentation disappears or anything can happen. Just keep going and be gracious about it and have fun with it because it's a moment to connect with others and to really transfer your message to somebody else. So enjoy it.
Yes. I mean, I had one presentation once where I had 2 minutes to present like this giant initiative. Like it was a national rollout. It was huge, impacting multiple buildings and carriers and whatnot. And I was the last speaker. That's always a little bit stressful. We were running behind right before lunch.
That's the worst part.
It's the worst. And because like everything was running behind, they brought all the speakers on stage all of a sudden to sit. Like the plan was not for me to be sitting on stage, right? And you just have to go with it. And I'm like, well, first of all, thank God I wore pants instead of like a skirt, right? Because now I'm sitting on a stool, which would have been really awkward in a skirt. And so I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, score. But then there's just like, all right, well, how am I going to make this energetic? And you just got to go with it. I can't change it. We're already here. This is the cards have been dealt, and I'm going to make it the best damn experience I can possibly make.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's all about attitude, right? Now you're working with others now. You mentioned you're coaching others and helping them really improve and skyrocket their success. Can you share with us a story with somebody that you've worked with and you've seen some of that transformation in action?
Yes. I was working with this professional, very capable, but very insecure about his own abilities and about his own capacity of really leading the team and taking them to the next level. And there was a lot of unconscious bias that he was dealing with, that he hadn't realized because of previous history with people within the team. And when a team has been together for a very long time, and sometimes you emerge from within the team and you transfer from being their peer into being their manager, and it's really, really a struggle, right? How do you make that division? How do you make that transition successfully and gracefully? And we started to have these very lengthy conversations about those fears and really discovering what was behind. And there was a lot of things that were from his childhood that he had gone through. And one time, for example, he had asked a question in class, probably 8, 9 years old, and was shunned by the teacher because he had mixed up the words and said it incorrectly. And automatically in his brain, he was not good at speaking. And when people ask me what I think is the most important skill leaders should develop, I would say that it's two. One is emotional regulation, but the other one, in very critical, is communication. If we're not capable of communicating the vision, the mission, the good, the bad, the things that we need to work on, it's very difficult to lead. And so he was very afraid. He was terrified of asking questions, of giving feedback and receiving feedback as well. He was very defensive. And through the work that we did, we uncovered that it was really at that point in his life that he had created this armor around him to protect him. If I don't say anything, then I'm okay, I'm safe. But he wasn't 8 years old anymore. And so coming out of that and becoming the kind of leader that he became was, wow, mind-blowing. Yeah.
That's amazing. So many little things, just stick with you throughout your whole life. Sometimes it's things other people tell us. Sometimes it's the things we tell ourselves, and I have two kids. And so I when I hear them starting to tell themselves a story about themselves, like, all right, okay, how do I try to help them rephrase
Let's reset.
Yeah, let's say something positive about yourself or your sister or something, because
exactly
you want to lift up because you see it, and it's crazy how those things stick with you. But I love that breaking the armor goes back to the vulnerability that we were talking about earlier, right? Of being vulnerable. It helps you so much, especially when you're now over peers, right?
Exactly.
So important. Now, you've written a book, right? And are you now? And this might have been from way back, so I apologize. But are you also working on another book, but with your granddaughter?
I published that one in June.
You did? Okay, it's published. Okay, great.
It's been a minute since we talked. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that book is titled Tiny Person, Mighty Leader, and it's a leadership book for children.
Oh, I love it. So tell me about all your books, because you have obviously way more than one.
Yeah, the first one is the one that I was referring earlier, the Square Peg Leader Delusion. And the title is really linked to that idea of the square peg. And you know how a circle and a square are geometrical figures, but despite being geometrical figures, they don't naturally fit together. So same a team and a leader, not because they're in the same industry or even the same company, that they're going to be a great fit for one another. And one thing that we see a lot in corporate is sometimes you get promoted to a certain role because you're due a promotion, and they put the wrong people with the wrong team, the wrong leader with the wrong team. And it creates a lot of friction because there has to be a lot of other things that come into play for that union to work, for that chemistry to really match. And it requires a lot of humbleness from the leader to really open hands and say, hey, I would like to learn what it is that you do. I have no idea what you do, but if you teach me enough, I will help you do it better, more efficiently.
Yes.
And I will be in your corner and I will shoulder you, right? That's all we can do. And so it's my journey throughout my career. And I start, same as you, I had some experience in theater. Well, it wasn't theater, it was flamenco. I danced flamenco
Nice.
since a
Oh,
young age. So I've been on stage, and I try not to think about that because I move too much normally when I speak. So I try to stay a little still. But since I was young, I always had these leadership tendencies. But at that time, my purpose in life was to learn, not to lead. And I discovered that I was hindering my progress because I was so worried about what the other girls were doing around me that I was missing my steps and messing up. And it's really that recollection of when did this started that ended up in the book. And so it was a cool journey to write it. And when that book was published, my daughter got a copy. And Bella was 5 at the time. She's my first granddaughter. I have 2 granddaughters. And Bella got the book. She's looking at the cover of the book, and then she flipped it, and there's my picture. And she asked her mother very seriously, "Why is mommy's picture in this book?"
Oh.
And my daughter explained to her, "Well, because mommy wrote that book. Put her on FaceTime, please." And she's very businesslike. She's so hilarious. Yeah, I don't know where she takes it from.
Put her immediately. Put her on.
Yes, put her on FaceTime, please. And then she looks at me on FaceTime, and she's like, "Mommy, I am so proud of you."
Oh.
She can mail me literally. If she comes here and wants to burn my house, I'll give her matches.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of you. Listen, next time that you write a book, we're going to write it together. And I said, okay, absolutely. And what I love about that is that we lost that as we grew up. You know, that I don't worry about the how. I'm not going to worry about the logistics. This is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do it, and we go. That's what we lose as we get older. And I love that about her. So one day I call her and I say, "Hey, I got this idea for the book." So I pitched the idea after she arranged a meeting.
I love it.
And she was dancing around while I was trying to explain to her. So it was a very long meeting. And then she told me, "Listen, you need to write that leaders must be brave and they must behave." And at that moment, I knew there's hope for the world because the 5-year-old got it. Absolutely. So, the book was published, and the star of the book is Elise, her sister, her little sister. She's 3, and Bella's 6 now. And she's very happy that she's a published author, but it hasn't gone to her head yet.
Oh, it's such a beautiful story. You know, like I love that because to me, this whole podcast space has been so great to see so many people reinventing themselves, going after what they just want to do. And it's such a supportive space that you don't always get in every industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So I love it. Okay. So if you could go back in time and talk to Maria from 10 years ago, is there any advice that you would give her?
Perfectionism is your Achilles heel, and don't take yourself too seriously.
That's powerful. I am a perfectionist, so
I'm a perfectionist in recovery. I keep myself in check. I self-diagnosed too.
I love it.
And there's no support groups for perfectionists in recovery.
Because there's no perfect way to resolve the situation. So why would there be?
No, but I've learned throughout the years to understand that great is better than perfect, because perfect is never going to exist. And good sometimes is enough.
Yes. Like I tell my team, it's progress over perfection.
Yes.
You know, like if we're making the right moves and we're steadily moving towards the goals that we've set, then you're doing something right.
Yeah. Definitely.
If you're stalled or going backwards, that's when there's a problem, right? But like
definitely
progress is the main thing. So
yes,
this has been a really, really cool conversation, Maria. I've really enjoyed it. And I know there's going to be listeners who are like, man, that resonates with me. And I'm looking for a speaker, or I want to read her books. So I'm going to share on the screen, but can you maybe talk us through, you know, what are some of the best ways for people to reach you and to get your books?
Definitely. And thank you for sharing my message and for having me here. I'm so excited that we finally nailed the time to be here together. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. My name is Maria Aguirre on LinkedIn altogether. Instagram under Meaningful Leaders. And on my website, there's specific contact area that you can reach out and contact me. My website is meaningfulleaders.com. And my books are available on Amazon under my author page, Maria Aguirre.
I love it. This has been super fantastic. I wrote some notes that I just want to kind of share because I think that, like I said, I always love writing notes because I think there's just so many great nuggets. So you talked about how you got into the aerospace industry because you wanted to know the behind the scenes magic, right? And every industry has something behind the scenes that's magical, and having that curiosity really will help drive you in whatever your career is. You also talked about the quote from your granddaughter, right? Leaders must be brave and behave. That is gold right there. That's like probably the biggest nugget I've heard in a few weeks. I love it. You have to be humble enough to learn. You have to be willing to say and vulnerable enough to be like, hey, I don't necessarily understand something, or you're part of a new team, you're over a new team. Having them teach you, having that willingness to be open and learn is so important. And then that you talked a little bit too about some of those things that we tell ourselves in the past, or experiences that we've had in the past, that, oh, I'm not a good leader, or I'm not a good speaker, I'm not a good whatever. Those are stories that we have to break, and you've got to break that armor, right, that you've put on. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're not actually making that progress that you need to make. So those are some big nuggets that I took. I thought this was fantastic. I really love hearing your story, and thank you for coming to Mighty Emotion and sharing it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited we got to do this, and I enjoy your show so much. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
And really, like, follow her on LinkedIn. She's got amazing content. She's one of those people that I look at almost every day, you know, to say, what is she posting today? Because I'm going to learn something. So make sure you follow her. And for everything else, you subscribe, like, comment, share, review, all the things, because we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. And Maria, thank you again for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into Might in Motion. If you learned something about motivation, momentum, mindfulness, or might, please like, comment, and share. Thank you.